All right. Does it say we're recording in the top right?
Yeah, I will have to click on got it.
You've got it?
Got it. Here
Perfect.
we go.
So, Marianna, what do you do for a living?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I have actually two directions at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is very creative. I'm a freelance in photography.
Wow.
And then the second one that's actually very relevant, probably why we're speaking now, that's everything about training. So I am a personal trainer, but I'm also training myself basically as an athlete. And that's because I am in the stunt industry, like a stunt woman for projects, like whether it's a movie or maybe some advertisement, but that's still quite new. So yeah, that's what I'm currently working on.
That's so badass.
Well, you could tell that, but yeah, I mean, I know so many people who are badass, so yeah.
Well, I mean, getting into the stunt industry, you've got to be a badass.
Yeah, you have to want this for sure. I mean, you're putting yourself out there, everyone will see it, and then you're doing something that looks very dangerous, but you do it safely. So
How did you get into that?
Okay, that's honestly just context, and I have never intended to, like, I was never thinking about, okay, I'm gonna be a stunt woman, or I'm going for this like position or something. But when I look back at my life, it all makes sense because I was always very creative and I have never done one thing. So it was always the movement in terms of parkour or riding horses, or even enjoying to shoot from a bow, doing some martial arts, or fitness, being strongest and fittest version of myself. And now those things together, it just makes sense that I really enjoy this.
That's awesome. It's like it was meant to be, right? And I could see you as like a Lara Croft.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I mean, I feel welcomed in the industry when I go there, and I feel like it's the right place to be. But I still don't want to jinx it, because I still have to find my place, and it's still quite new. So, and I don't want to. I can't actually talk about the project I'm working on because they are in a process. So it's like can't really say much, but it's really interesting to be there and meet people in different countries that do the same thing and just hear their stories and how they work. And yeah, that's it, I guess.
Yeah, like the sharing stories aspect of life will forever fascinate me. You know what I mean? Like, everyone, it's like a river, right? We like meander around things and we end up meeting each other over whatever. And it's like, we'll share stories, and how people get to one certain destination could be totally different. But the stories you can share along the way is fascinating.
Definitely.
Yeah. I bet the stunt industry has some insane stories.
What do you mean?
Like, I bet the people that kind of get into that would have some fascinating life stories to be able to tell. Like, not being in the industry related to like Cirque du Soleil, right? I bet those people have some insane stories to tell.
Those are artists. I have big respect for that. There's one thing to train, and there is another thing to perform.
Totally.
And do the same thing when you have to, at 6 in the morning, at 9 at night, whenever you're asked, and the pressure and time and everything. I have big respect for that. And stunt is something in between, actually. It's not performance like in a circus, right? But it's still, you depend on, well, your performance depends on, I mean, it can affect everything, like the crew and the process of filming. So you really have to do your best.
So, like, you know, you're a perfect representation of the yin and yang we just spoke about like 5 minutes ago, of the photography and then also like stunt, right? And how come you do two totally different things? Why do you do that personally?
I don't think I can answer that because I'm still asking that question myself. But I kind of think that like a society has some sort of standard, and that's like having one job and being called one thing, being defined and labeled. And I don't like those things, because to me, I'm just following what really resonates with me and what feels the most myself. And I don't think that I want to divide creativity and training, you know, like being photographer, I have maybe an eye for composition and that actually relates a lot to the filming industry, where I would do stunts, for example. So those things actually are really closely connected. I was always creative, even in my training, even when you see how I train. I'm trying to kind of look for what's possible with the body. Like, can I do it this way? Or is it also possible in this angle? Or, you know, like movement. Even my fitness is very creative sometimes, which is why I'm seen as a weirdo, maybe. You know, doing handstands and stuff in the gym is not what people do all the time, probably. Depends where you go. So yeah, I don't know why I have to.
Sorry, go on.
No, I don't know why I have two directions. It just evolved to this point, and I welcome it. I'm not really second guessing anything.
I think that's beautiful though, because like, you know, we are human beings, right? And to be human, it's the blend of everything, right? It's the synergy of like, you know, light and dark, or yin and yang, or whatever you want to call it, right? It's the combination of everything. Yet modern society will dictate that you need to be one thing, a certain thing for 50 years, and then it's like, congratulations, you get a pension, you retire, then what? I don't, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I think we need to be able to be everything, right? Be that like a philosophical warrior, like in a sense of, you can fight, but you can also think, and you can, like, you know, you can love, but you can also hate, and like that's the point.
This actually reminded me that, like, ever since I was a kid, my family, they always supported me, but we were always very academic. So for me, I also thought like, who am I supposed to be? Like, what is my job in the future? And I never really knew. I didn't have like the idea, because right now I would love that I would have the idea of being in a filming industry or something when I was 5 years old. That would make things so much easier. But I think that I had this in mind, like, I have to be a lawyer, a doctor, you know, some like proper job, which I hate to say, because there is place for everyone. Like, there's not a proper job and then not a proper job, like, no. So I think I was actually going in a way where I didn't want to go, but I still found something I loved. And now it's just coming to what I really want to do. And all the experience I had from everything else I've ever done, it just adds up. And I think it's so funny. I really find it so funny.
Well, Do you think that's from your parents? Do you think that's from like deep innate within you, or do you think that's like the general trend to be able to think outside of the box in like
think it's both. And to be honest, I was never the kid who would trust like in myself.
Yeah.
I was the shyest. I think I was like, it might be how I see myself or how I used to see myself, but I really think I was one of those like scared girls who would never say a thing. So I don't think I was necessarily going for what I really wanted until I built it up with age.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
that's another thing.
Quite introverted, right? And I think people who spend a lot of time in their own head as a young person end up figuring out who they are a lot quicker, you know what I mean? Because they ask themselves the question rather than other people.
Oh, yeah. I remember having all kind of like strange conversations in my head when I was little, especially because I was surrounded with quite older people. Like my family, if they had a visitor, like guests, they would be older. Also, my sister, she's 10 years older, which when she took me with her friends, I would just sit and talk to them. So I think I was seeing a lot in the future. Like I was basically relating myself to their age.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's really important though. Like you like we said at the beginning, like you see the world in a different light. You know, you can only ever gonna see the world one way, right? You're only gonna get one set of eyes. And being able to have conversations with people that see it in a different manner will then, you know, offer a different perspective.
Definitely.
Wow. Stunt. That's crazy. That's absolutely
crazy. Like, I was just on a filming set yesterday, and there was an actress and there was someone from the production. They were just saying, "Oh, stunt woman. We don't really see this that often," and it was like such a strange feeling because there are actresses around as well, and this is actually something very special they see. But yeah, again, I'm actually, I mean, I don't do some crazy stunts, right? It can be anything from just like little fights to some falls, or it's so much different which kind of stunt you do. So I'm still looking for what is actually me in it with my abilities.
I think that's like the beauty of like filmmaking though, right? Because like if you take out one like part of the film, so like you take out the producer, the stunt lady, or the stunt man, or the actor, or whatever, it doesn't work. Like you need everyone to be there.
Yes, and it's never the same. That's the thing. It's never the same, and I love that. Like a kind of you always have to be updated and find some solution. It's really, really interesting workplace.
Yeah, like it's one of my best mates back home. She's an actress, right? And before I even met her, I had no idea about the film industry. I would watch a movie, I'd be like, that's kind of cool, and that's it. You know what I mean?
There's so much behind.
It's
so much hard work.
So much behind the scenes. I'm like, this is crazy.
Yes.
You know, and all the work that doesn't get into the final cut.
Yeah.
Like it blows my mind. But at the same time, you know, like, you know, you look at the Mona Lisa, you know, there's like, what did we say? There's like 1,000 smiles underneath it. You know, you're not going to get like the finished product straight away. There's going to be a lot of hard graft behind the scenes.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can't tell much. Yeah, it's very, just one thing changes and 100 things changes, you know?
How long have you been into it?
Oh, into movies? A lot. But it's basically in this year I was like stepping into it.
Oh wow, first year. Wow. How's that been?
Oh, I love it. It's, of course, it's always like a new beginning, you know. You feel strange, but this feels just like a right choice for me. And it's connection. So I have met so many wonderful people in the past month, and I'm really certain about them. So yeah, I wish, I mean, if we were just about to talk like a few months from now, I would probably say even more.
That's all right. That's all right. You can fill us in when it's all done. Like, I mean, you can always see when someone's passionate about something because they light up, right? You can see it in their eyes. They're just like, absolutely. Yeah, that little spark. Yeah, exactly. And that's,
I like the word spark because that's every time, even if I train someone, like a personal trainer, it's always the spark in the eyes, like for what they, so this is how I can do it. Oh, this is me.
That little self-belief, right? They finally dissect the feeling that's inside and they can understand it, right? And they've kind of like put two and two together. They've seen two dots and they've been able to draw the line between them. And it's that little spark that's just like, oh, I can do this now. Yeah. That's really cool.
What is it actually you're doing? Are you training or like a personal trainer or
that's a real good question, and I get it all the time, right? Because I look like and do a lot of things, but yeah, so I'm a head coach at one of the gyms in Christchurch, right? So I coach a couple of classes. I coach some one-on-ones. I'll coach some coaches. So I got a team of coaches around me, and I just pass on some knowledge that I've ended up accumulated over the years, which is a really cool opportunity. You know, and help the gym and try and steer the gym into a better direction. I'll like technically physical therapist. I'll do it like a couple times. You know, if someone gets hurt, I'll help you out. But it's not where I spend a lot of my time. I was more like I got the qualification out of necessity back home. There wasn't really anyone around that was doing it, and I was broke and needed money. So you upskill yourself. And then I write. So that's kind of like taken a lot of my time now is like I'll sit down in a coffee shop and like be alone and just write some things.
Oh, that's nice. It really helps to organize your thoughts once you actually put it on the paper. I like that. I used to write like a diary when I was learning Danish. I did it in Danish, of course, first English, then translated to Danish. And I just wrote like about what's happening in my head and some tough times I went through. And it was really helpful. Now I don't do it because I actually, once I am able to speak the language, I just don't want to write the diary. It's just talking with people in the language. So yeah.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It definitely helps trying to understand yourself. And I don't know, like it's kind of evolved into something now. You know, I was given the advice to do it how many years ago? I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years ago. I don't know. English is not my thing, although it's my first language. I don't think I can make that excuse anymore. I'm, you know, like 3 languages. But I'm not the best at English. Right? It's my writing's not great, my reading's not great. Like I struggle with it, right? But I ended up having to do it
in another language.
Hey?
Are you writing in another language?
No, I'm writing it in English.
But you know, that's just 7 years or something. That means it's really good. So just, you can't give that up. Like this will lead you somewhere too. For sure.
Yeah, I think so. Like it's got really crazy, to be honest with you. It's got really crazy. Like I was speaking to my brother and he was the one who gave me the idea of making a book, right? And I was like, nah, no way. I'm not gonna make a book. Like, that's crazy. Why would I do that? You know, I was the, you know, the guy who worked out. You know what I mean? That was who I was, and the guy who played sport. And then I ended up making the book. I was like, fuck it. Like, I made the book. I published it. And now it's around. It's in a few places, and it's like I can walk in and see it on a shelf. I'm like, wait, what? I don't understand.
Such a good feeling.
It's really strange, to be honest. Like, I've got a really bad memory. I've had a lot of concussions, so like a lot of the poems in it I don't actually remember writing. Which is a really, really strange concept, because I'll pick it up, right? Because it's like on my shelf. So I'll pick it up and I'll kind of like flick through it every now and again. And I'm like, I don't remember that. Like,
but it's nice you can have it in the memory when it's on that paper.
Yeah, like I don't have to worry about forgetting it. Yeah, it's kind of branched into something else. So hey, who knows? You know, it's published memories and published thoughts, and if someone wants to pick it up and read it, then by all means. If people don't, then just put it back down. It's okay. Like, I'd love to be able to just go off in nature somewhere and just, you know, disappear. I think about that quite a lot. We're meant to be nomadic, right? As human beings, we're meant to be travelers.
Yeah, certainly not enough time we spend actually being kind of isolated from the distractions, I think.
Yeah, that's something I've been bouncing around recently, and thinking about, is like everything that, like, of modern society, right? So in the past, well, say 100 years, we've created a society, or developed into a society, where everything's like comfort and solidified into one spot, right? We've like, now, you know, I stay in Manchester, that's where I'm from. You stay in the Czech Republic, that's where you're from. That's where you blah, blah, blah. They stay in like the States, they stay wherever. And you're just like, I don't understand why. Like, it doesn't make any sense. How are we supposed to just, you know, develop into a cog, into a bigger wheel, and just, you know, work for the man? Doesn't make any sense.
I had this thought for the past few months, like how it's actually all kind of, how it all works, like the society. But I feel like I'm kind of finding my own way. But again, we need something that holds it together, right?
Yeah. And then they also, I think they need people like you and I, who are a little bit of the outcasts and see things differently. And we'll just wander aimlessly in the search for, I don't know, search for something.
Sure. I just think people really have to work on like understanding themselves and finding what they really want to do, because what I do is not necessarily something that everyone else wants to do, even though it looks maybe so cool, like I do all these things, but there is some work behind, and we have to pick the battles, right? Like, whatever you do, there will always be this painful side of it, or something that is annoying, so you have to choose and yeah, I just don't want to say and claim that what I do is for everyone else. Like, you have to find your own style in it.
That's so true. Like that, like who you are is the only thing that you need to know. You know, it's the only question you need the answer to, and that will change like day to day, right? Like, I believe, like we all grow and change every day.
Yeah.
You know, I will grow from this conversation, and tomorrow I'll be a different person because of it, you know. So like every day you got to be able to wake up and look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself the question, like, who the fuck am I? And then you know, figure that out. You've got 24 hours to figure it out. And then, you know,
sounds dramatic.
Hey,
sounds dramatic. But yes,
I got away
Yeah,
with
every interaction, every decision can change the course of your life. That's true.
it. Yeah, like you're got to be able to go into it with an open mind, right? And be able to take the L in the sense of take the lesson from everything, whether it's a win or a loss. You have to be able to lose from it. You have to be able to learn from it.
Yeah, definitely.
So this is a question I'm absolutely obsessed with, right? Of what's the best life advice you've ever received?
Oh, I have no idea right now, but
Sorry, I put you on the spot.
it's nothing I was ever thinking about, I think. Apparently not. I would say I really don't remember a line, but it's just the experience and the hardships in my life. Just learning from it was just the best thing. Like not necessarily advice. It was just probably that you can't really plan everything for certain. And
That's so true though. We like to. I was definitely like that younger, right? I was like, let's get a plan. Let's stick to the plan. Let's just fucking work hard at this plan, and everything's gonna work out. And you're like, well, no, life will throw you a curveball sometimes, and you're gonna have to adapt. And everything can't be set in stone. Things need to be free flowing, day by day, right?
I think so. It's seriously, since I moved to Denmark and being on my own and just feeling how life can change like this, and I got used to it. So just this action is kind of like the advice for life, I think. It's not someone telling me something. At least I don't remember.
Well, you can tell yourself the advice.
Actually, I was in Berlin last month and I came back home with a tattoo, which is crazy because I was never planning on getting one. And the tattoo means a lot to me. And it's basically like saying or showing how the life is not linear and picking a side, it's like find the balance between the two, like the life philosophy and finding the good in the evil and the evil in the good, and it's just gonna lead you if you follow yourself. But it's such a deep shit now. It's just
that's beautiful. Yeah, 100%.
Mom was angry, by the way. So
hey,
my mom was angry, by the way, about the tattoo. So that's another thing.
well, let's be honest. Like, your mom's always going to be angry with you, like, regardless, right?
She loves me. Yeah.
If there's anyone that's going to put you into shape, it's going to be your mother. Yeah.
She's just showing her love.
Yeah. Well, that's what they say, right? Don't do this. Whoa. I've not said anything. Calm down. Yeah, I'll still get an earful from the other side of the world. Don't worry. It's not just you.
Well, to be honest, just announcing that I'm stepping into the filming industry, which is stunt. I think she might be worried, but I told her that there's nothing to worry about.
Yeah, but that's like, well, I couldn't imagine, someone turns on to me and be like, oh, I'm going to go do stunts. You'd be like, holy shit. Okay. That's a bit left field. So I can understand how it's a little bit of a sidetrack, I'll say.
Mm.
But I mean, it's awesome. It's incredible. Like following something that you're passionate about is what we're here for, right?
100%. That's what I always try to get in the head of everyone I speak to about training, because I feel like in some way many people have some sort of idea that they have to do X and Y and Z in order to achieve this because they saw someone on the internet, telling them this. And I'm like, no, not necessarily. I mean, there are so many ways how to achieve what you want. You have to find yours. And of course, there are better ways to do something, like more optimal or healthier.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to find yourself. Again, coming back to the same thing as 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, like figure out who you are. And I think, life will ultimately teach you those lessons, but you also need to be open to receive those lessons, right? Like otherwise you'll just be making the same mistake over and over and over again. And some people get that lesson in their hometown. Other people need to move 12,000 miles away to the bottom right hand corner of the world. But
and some will never do it. Yeah.
Life is a strange and funny thing. What about the worst life advice you've ever received?
Oh, there must be many, just on the internet,
There's more of these ones, right?
My friend an hour ago, it's like I do many things, and my life is not like a regular like 9-to-5 job. I really have many projects, and they come from day to day sometimes, and I really have to be very flexible. And it's both in the photo and the training thing. And talking to some people who are well established and they have success on their own, hearing from them that I should pick one thing and focus on that, it's kind of like, whoa, really? Is that because your experience like proved you, or it's like, no, of course I don't have to pick one.
I totally.
So I guess
totally
it's
agree.
like other people maybe relating their experience to your reality does not necessarily have to be the most helpful advice, even though this one was actually, of course, meant nicely. It's just,
yeah, and you get some people posing their limitations on you, right? Because they don't want to be exposed of kind of playing their life short. So it's like, oh no, don't go do that. Like go do something and just like kind of settle, because then I will feel better about myself because I've settled. You know what I mean? It's like, whoa, hold on a minute. Focus on the guy in the mirror or the lady in the mirror. That's all you gotta do.
Sure. And you might fail, but you might as well fail and then actually succeed afterwards. So that's maybe it. Like, oh yeah, the worst advice. I'm not sure if it was advice again, but I think how I saw failing before when I was a kid, it was disaster. Whereas now, like we have to fail in order to learn, and just failing is so important.
Yeah.
So maybe that was like you can't do that because you will just bump into a wall. And that's like, well, let me do that.
Yeah.
Maybe I need that.
You learn, right? Like, I don't know about you, but as a kid, I wasn't the smartest of individuals. I'm not an academic either, right? I was not the best.
You don't have to be smart in academic way.
Yeah, exactly.
You have other qualities.
So I like to think, okay, cool. If I can like expose myself to many, many different areas, right? There's more things I'm going to be able to learn. Right. So I'm like, cool. I go, everyone's like, oh, what degree did you do? I was like, I didn't do a degree. I go to the University of Life, and I'm never going to graduate. I just, coast along, and I will take any lesson that it's going to throw at me, and I'll try and learn as many as I can. Right. Eventually maybe write a couple of them down and pass them on.
Yeah, I mean, the world is changing so much anyway that like there are so many smart people who don't need the course, the education. It's like you don't need that paper if maybe you used to before. Like my parents, it was basically required everywhere. Now you have stories of people who changes the world without any.
The smartest people I've ever met in my life have always been like street smart, as we call it back home, not book smart. So like they've just been wise old souls that is kind of looks like it's trapped in a young body, right? And has knowledge coming out of their ears, rather than someone who's got a PhD or a master's or a bachelor's degree. It's like, congratulations, like, you did the test, and I'm not taking that away from you. That's incredible. But the smartest people I've ever met have been those people that are wise beyond their years.
Well, I know we need both. Like,
yeah,
I don't necessarily categorize anyone. It's just very individual. It depends on the context. But I was always kind of, I thought that I need certification or some degree, which I do have a degree. It's just sometimes what you learn and then what you use in reality is different. But maybe without doing the degree, you wouldn't have this perspective on it, So I'm happy I have one. But I use it in my way. So that's important. But again, like, for example, learning Danish, I never went to a course. I went there for 2 weeks, then they threw me out because I was learning too fast and they didn't have like another level for me, which is ridiculous because I could barely speak without mistakes. But finding how you learn in life, it's so important. Because once you have that, you can apply it to so many areas, like learning anything else, I guess.
How do you learn?
The language, or
just in general?
Well, I would say just being and doing the thing instead of just reading. Some people, they have to have a lot of theory. They want to read, listen. I want to observe and try. But how I learned the new language, that's something else. There are many things in that.
No, I'm the same.
Definitely by doing.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I need to get involved. I need to try. I need to fail. I need to learn. Like, I need to like form a habit. Like I'm massive on habits, right? I don't want to say I've got addictive personality, but I fall into habitual routines very easily. So I have to be careful of the shit that I do, because if it creates a habit, I won't even think about it. That's why I just have to like.
Actually what habit is, right? Habit is like kind of optimizing everything. We all have habits, bad and good.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. What languages do you know then?
Well, I speak Czech. That's my mother tongue.
Yeah.
It's some people would say it's similar to Russian, but not at all. Like, no. But it's a Slavic language.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of R, like the heart.
Yeah.
So that's where my accent is coming from. There are many people asking where I'm from because they love my accent. I don't know why. Then I know English and Danish.
Wow.
And I believe I want to learn German, because if I'm about to work in Germany, then it's respectful to the culture.
Yeah.
And it's easier, of course. So that's just 3 basically.
Yeah, I always say to myself, I want to finish German. Like I learned German for a long time, right? Like a long time. Like 5-6 years, but like I'm appalling now. Like I can't speak it. I can kind of read it. Like I can get by reading it. But no, I can't speak it at all. And hearing it, like I'll have no idea what you're saying.
Well, I have the same with French language because I had that for 6 years and I don't remember anything. But if I want to learn a language, I'm sure I can manage within 6 months to have a conversation about some stuff, because that's what happened with Danish.
Wow.
But that's me being in the environment and using it and really wanting it, because I didn't learn the language for 4 years. I ignored it. Not that I didn't have time. I hate to say it because it was my choice. I don't want to learn this because I don't have to. I can survive in Denmark with English and it's not my priority. But then once I actually graduated and decided, okay, I'm staying for sure, let's learn it. It just went, like I really wanted it. So, and it's easy when you live in the country and you have people to talk with and you actually force yourself. I made a big habit of just writing every morning for 10 minutes, then 15 minutes, and listening to a podcast about training because that's what I love to listen about. And speaking about what interests me and reading about, again, training and some creative things like photography and video and marketing.
I'm trying to learn Spanish. Like I coach a lad from Argentina, right? So I'm trying to learn Spanish. Yeah. But I'm also like a while back, not how long ago? Maybe 3 months now, actually. Holy shit. Like I was coaching a hearing impaired lady. So she like was like partially deaf. So I'd learn some New Zealand Sign Language. So like basically, yeah. So most of our sessions were in sign language, which was really cool.
Oh, she must appreciate you so much.
Yeah, it was cool. Like because she could hear me, and we could talk in English, which was obviously cool because if I didn't know a sign, I would obviously say it, and then she would either, if she didn't know the sign, she'd look it up and we'd like kind of do the whole exercise together of like learning a new sign. But yeah, she would then teach me the sign, which was really cool. And I got into a habit of like practicing it every morning. I'm now out of the habit, which is annoying. But I learned a lot of things in a short period of time. It was quite cool.
I think we can learn so much when we want to. That's the thing. Really.
You have to, right?
Just, yeah.
Or if you set your mind to it, like it's unfair. And like relating it back to the coaching and the fitness scene, like, you know, I'm all about inclusivity and helping everyone. Like it's what I like to do. Like it's what gets me out of bed in the morning, is helping people. And like if I like obviously stand in the gym as some sort of quote unquote, you know, leader, and someone walks in and be like, I'm deaf or hearing impaired, but I want to improve my physical and mental well-being, you know, and I don't know it. That's basically me telling them, no, I can't help you, go away. And I that doesn't sit well with me. So I'm like, okay, cool. Let's do this. Let's figure it out.
Yeah, you take it to another level.
Yeah, you have to.
That's nice. That's really nice.
Yeah, there was a time where I was learning Slovak.
Okay.
Yeah, like I spent a bit of time in Slovakia.
Well, that's the neighbor country, but okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a cool place. It's a really, really cool place.
I have been there only once. And I was little. I have a photo of me standing next to a cow in the mountains. And I think it was beautiful, but I don't remember, to be honest.
Yeah, it's stunning. Like, you know, the scenery is beautiful. And I don't know, I've maybe been there 3 times, 4 times
Well, to be
maybe.
honest, it's more, it has a little bit more to offer nature-wise than Denmark. Like Czech country, like, you know, when you go south from Denmark, it's just, there are actually some mountains.
Yeah.
Because Denmark is just flat. But
Yeah.
I love it anyway.
The whole of Denmark just at sea level, right? Yeah. Yeah. No, it was a really cool, experience. Like there was time and there was talks of going to live out there, but obviously that didn't happen.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I had the same thing. I actually got questioned quite a bit about why I chose Denmark. And I always say, I don't know, because that would be one of the last countries I would choose if I were to pick. Because I love warm countries and I really have hard time being cold because sometimes I'm just freezing even in summer. But that was summer 2015 when I went to USA and I loved it. I thought that I will be finding some ways how to stay there. But then actually after spending 2 months there, I was like, maybe it's not for me because I really find it difficult to compare it, like in comparison to European culture.
Yeah.
It's a big difference and it's really far away from family. But I was still like, maybe I should. But then again, it was so expensive to study there. So I was just, okay, well, let me figure out some place in Europe. And I heard something about Denmark. I was like, nah, no way. And then I spoke to some people who actually studied here and I read more and more and more. And I just fell in love with that idea. So I picked a country. I picked a city where I would live and I just went and never looked back, basically.
I think with those types of decisions, you need to make it with your heart, not your head. You know, you need to just follow how you feel rather than be like, hey, can I just like strategize everything and make everything make sense? I'm like, life doesn't make sense.
You can have a plan, but it's gonna change anyway.
Yeah.
Usually. And actually my idea was, okay, I'm gonna study here for 3.5 years and then I will go to the US, which who knows, it might happen. But I stayed here for 5 and I don't see it ending because it's my home. I have so many friends and like it feels like I have families all over Denmark and I learned the language. I know the culture. It's just so close to me now. But I feel like in the future, I'm 25, so it's still kind of open to me to just like go and explore the world. And with the stunt projects, I might travel so much anyway. So who knows?
That's fucking awesome. You know what I mean? Like just throwing yourself in at the deep end and finding something that feels like home. You know, the concept of home is always something that's in my mind. And like I will battle over. I don't know whether it's like the only thing we know, right, is we know nothing, you know. And like I'll battle over whether it's a place, is it a person, is it myself, is it a feeling, is it an item, like what is it? And I've always said I know where my home is because it's Manchester, right? It's the city, it's where I grew up, it's where I come from, it molds the culture that is the core of me, right? And I will stand by that, but also I question it a lot because I'll go to many places, right? And I've had the opportunity to go to quite a few countries now, which is, you know, I'll be forever grateful for. And there's some places that feel more homely than others, and I don't know how to describe it. Like I can't put it in the, you know, ironic, a writer can't put it into words, but I can't put it into words. It's like, no, this place just feels like me a little bit more than that place.
Yeah, sure. I mean, to be honest, I think I have multiple homes because it's where I feel connected to people and I feel safe and I know the place. I have it in Prague, in Czech Republic, because that's where my family is, many of my friends. But I have it here in many places. Like I'm here in my apartment, but I also have a family. Well, it's a Danish family, which feels like my family.
Mm.
I was in the Philippines for 2 months and I was living with locals there and they made me feel like one of them. The same in Germany and in the US. I mean, come on, it's so confusing. What is home? You know,
Yeah, I think we're supposed to find those little pockets of home all around the world, right? Because then you can experience all those cultures, and then completing yourself as a human rather than like, no, I'm English. I'm like, yeah, okay, but you're only gonna see the world through that light, right? I was like, go somewhere else, go figure it out. Go speak to other people, go like eat their food, go fucking live in their place.
Traveling opens mind for sure.
Hell yeah.
It does.
Hell yeah. And even if you don't have a plan, like I didn't have a plan. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I wanted to come over here to open doors for my family and be like, okay, you now have an opportunity to leave home and come to the other side of the world. But I didn't have a plan to do that. I got on a plane and kind of figured it out.
That's another way how to do it.
Yeah. I'd recommend it, if I'm honest. I would recommend it. Just if you don't know how to do it, it doesn't matter. Like if you give yourself no option to fail, then you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Just keep going. Wow. Mate, where do you want to go next?
Oh, which country you mean?
Yeah, even just to visit. What's on the bucket list?
Oh, so many. I mean, like realistically, I was thinking about revisiting both Philippines and the US because I have so many friends there. But also with my stunt coordinator here in Denmark, he's from Iceland. So I was actually thinking about Iceland too, because that's some dope place. Some southern countries in Europe again, Africa at some point, and Japan. And my dream was actually to live in Australia back then, but that's very far away. But I would love to see that place once. Yeah, there are many countries.
Everywhere, right?
And whenever I talk about traveling, there are so many like people from Instagram that say just come to this country and that country, and everyone tells me about options and they all sound amazing, even like if it's some Asian country or some, I don't know, even like India or anything. Just so many.
The world is a very small yet very wide and a diverse place, and it would be rude not to experience it all, right?
Yeah, I used to travel just to like not like visit a country in a hotel, but just meet the locals and stay with the locals, especially parkour people. Because I did parkour both in LA in the US and then in the Philippines, and any other country where I go, I usually contact the parkour community. And that's really cool because they make you feel like home instantly.
Yeah, you're finding like-minded people.
That's how I travel. I find my little communities, and now it's actually stunt people too, which is so cool.
Yeah, you find like-minded people all around the world, and it shows you that you're not the only crazy person.
No, exactly. Yeah.
It's quite comforting. It's quite comforting.
Yeah, I have no idea how I did it back then. Like thinking about going to the Philippines alone and contacting people there. I mean, it could go wrong easily, you know.
Like
But people are so nice, like so freaking nice everywhere I go.
everywhere and everything in life is risky though, right? You know,
Exactly.
no matter what you do, like the most you know, consolidated or strong position of a job, like if I give you like a guarantee to have a job, right? Even that's risky. Even that you can get fired so easily. So it's like you might as well take a chance on your terms rather than someone else's.
Mm.
Throw yourself in the deep end, see if you can swim. That's how I learned to swim, by the way. Yeah. I got sat on the edge of the pool and my mum pushed me in.
Oh, that's drastic. But yeah, that's that's how it was.
It's a bit crazy up there in the north. It's like Game of Thrones.
So we're talking a lot about like mindset and life, but I actually thought it will be a little bit more about the training. It's
We could talk about
interesting.
training.
I mean, what's your approach to training? How do you train?
I train Olympic weightlifting.
Olympic weightlifting, cool.
Mm.
I've kind of, no, I didn't come even close to it, but you know, I was always active as a kid. I thought that I will actually become like a horse rider because I was so crazy about horses back then. But then I actually ended up doing parkour and self-defense and fitness. And then in Denmark in 2019, I actually got injury, like ACL injury, which is quite serious. Like you can actually notice it. And I thought it's over. I thought it's over with being like athletic and doing stuff. And strangely enough, it's not. And that's probably thanks to strength training because I started it half year before the injury and I built it up really well, like a quite decent amount of weight for a girl like me, I would say, because I was quite tiny. I was not like bulking into it, you know. But the strength training was really something that put my knee back, and also the mindset of just, okay, let's treat it like if it's not ACL injury. Let's go back to the things and movements as I did before as soon as possible. And I'm not going to advise this approach to everyone because, I mean, everyone is responsible for their own body, but it really helped me a lot. And the story was crazy because actually when the injury happened, I was told it's just a patellar dislocation, like it's just the knee went kind of out and in. So I will be fine within 14 days. So I treated it as that, but I knew deep in mind that it's probably something more, but I was denying it. So I trained it as soon as I could. I stepped on it as soon as I could. I was just like finding ways how to be active still. And of course I was heartbroken. Like my identity was just crashed because parkour and movement, it was everything for me. And now like, who am I without this? And it was really dangerous situation because like one could get easily depressed, right? And I remember I was just like hopeless. Like, what am I supposed to do? I don't want to end up being really down. I want to feel alive and maybe focus on some other parts in my life that I neglected before. And I actually remember running on a treadmill. Well, running, I mean, it was kind of running after 20 days of the injury. Wow. And then slowly I built it up and I was lifting weights and I was moving okay. After 4 months, I still felt like there is some instability in it. So I contacted, I went to hospital to get a scan. And after 2 months, they actually told me, there there is no ACL. So yeah, it was confirmed, and I was really crashed because I thought that I actually could maybe come back, and I basically gave up on my dream of becoming like athlete, and I became personal trainer, which is funny, right? Because everything led me to where I'm now.
Wow.
And I loved personal training. I loved just focusing on another type of movement and actually helping people, which is quite funny because I wasn't necessarily representing myself as a personal trainer. I just shared that I'm on this journey. I do a course, and all of a sudden people on Instagram, like, they started to contact me. Like, oh, I actually have knee injury too, or I know your story and I really can relate. And then I just did personal training with them, and it was amazing. I just found it difficult to kind of like not have my own style, you know? It's like, okay, am I now like just strength training, or am I in the mobility part, or what is it? Because so many people wanted actually my training style, which is kind of combination of things from my past. So yeah, and then the stunts came up, and I actually kind of got passionate about coming back to training as an athlete and preparing myself for some skills, and I actually can. And that's quite amazing because, you know, if I knew that I have ACL injury before they told me, I would probably limit myself a lot, and I would never come up to this point, I think.
Yeah, that's incredible, being able to like run or partially run after 20 days of an ACL injury. Like,
it's crazy. I remember having what is it called, crutches.
Yeah.
And this is probably very stupid to do because you have to really know what you're doing, and I have a quite good body awareness, so I'm not doing something stupid, but I basically didn't use them. I used them sometimes when I really had to, and I tried to put as much trust in my knee as I could straight away. And that's why I connected with the knee so well, and I could feel how it works and doesn't work. And then I was just moving it and mobilizing it. I was not jumping straight into training. I just build it up slowly. And of course, yeah, 20 days doesn't sound like long time. Like, it's very short to run after an injury like this, but I was able. And, you know, like if I had a client, well, first of all, I wouldn't have a client who is 14 days after injury, but I would have different approach because I don't feel how they feel.
Yep.
But I just want to say, I guess, that like sometimes we limit ourselves and we have these beliefs that we think we can't, and there is actually a way how to do it, and there is some hope you could go for.
Yeah, I totally agree. And like, movement is medicine at the end of the day. Like, you know, we are organic tissue. We do decay, yeah, but we also grow and regenerate, right? And the body is a beautiful and crazy thing, and you need to be able to trust in that, rather than placing those mental barriers on yourself. And then you'll ultimately just play on those mental barriers, and that's it. You know, it's the whole saying of like, if you have a plan B, you know, it distracts you from plan A. You know, if I go in and if I think I can't move my knee, I'm not going to be able to move my knee. You know, in fact, we used to say it playing rugby, right? Because I used to play that growing up, is like, coming back from an injury is the worst time, not because you're unfit, not because of the injury, but because you're thinking about it. Definitely. So I had a pretty serious neck injury, right? Which ended up meaning I couldn't play rugby again. But anyway, like after the first time, I took maybe 4 or 5 weeks off, right? I should have been off for like a season. Yeah, I should have been completely off for a year. But anyway, I came back after like 4 or 5 weeks, as you do, because I had no idea about it. and I couldn't afford physio, right? Me and my family couldn't afford physio because it's expensive. So as you do, you just kind of like figure this thing out on the fly. Being a young fella, you think
Oh
you're
my
invincible.
God.
Yeah, it's not the wisest decisions, but I'm here today and learned from it. So that's a miracle. But yeah, like I ended up reoccurring the injury maybe 4 or 5 different times over 18 months, just because I would go into a tackle. The way I'd tackle would be really, really weird because at the last like split second, I would think, oh shit, my neck. Like, and I would kind of just like put my head into a weird position, which would ultimately cause more damage than good.
Yeah.
So that's the last thing you want to be able to do is like place those limitations on yourself, right? Because then you end up playing to them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is like, I see it from two perspectives, because I understand like we limit ourselves, but then there is also this like doing the sport like that endures you quite a bit. It's like we also have to take care of the body, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Maybe rugby's not the greatest of examples because it's like
Oh,
15
it's
guys running
great. I
into
mean,
15 guys.
so much power there is, and
Yeah,
I admire it. I admire it. It's just, it all has some sacrifice, and sometimes it goes a bit beyond health.
yeah. Like very very far beyond it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you don't have to
But
go.
who am I to say like, no, I mean, it's experience, and it's beautiful experience. It gives you so much in life, just as any other experience.
Yeah, you don't compete in
It's
sport
just
for the health benefits.
thinking, I do this parkour because I love the movement, and then I get this injury out of it, and it's like, damn, like, was it ego or what was it? No, it was actually just coincidence, but
But again, everything's risky, right? It's worth the risk. You
yeah,
know,
I mean, walking on a street is risky.
everything's risky, right? Like you might as well, if you live your life and you don't want to take any risk, then are you truly living? You're alive, but are you living? It's like, nah, fuck it. I'm gonna live life, and if things happen, things happen. We'll change and we'll meander down the stream as life dictates, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I agree.
I totally agree. So, 3 words you would tell your younger self.
Sorry, 3 words about?
You would tell your younger self.
Just words.
Just words.
I would say like trust, persistence, and dream.
I like
Yeah,
that.
it sounds fluffy, but it's just really how I do things. Like I dream, and I am persistent, and I just have to trust it, because it will always figure itself out how it should be, I think.
That's beautiful. Everything starts with a dream, right? Like you've got to have a wild imagination. Like my worst advice anyone's ever given me is be realistic, right? And I go back to it a lot because like what about this is realistic? You know what I mean? I'm talking to you, you're in Denmark right now, I'm in New Zealand, we're having a conversation. What about this is realistic? You know what I mean? I'm on the other side of the world. I'm from west side of Manchester. I grew up in a pretty poor family. What about this is realistic? Like it doesn't make any sense. You got to be able to dream, right? And then you, like you said, you got to be able to trust in the process and have persistence. And
yeah, I mean, we're talking like, I don't do stuff like, I don't follow a regular path in many things, So, I mean, totally agree.
well, that's funny because I wrote about
Create my own.
I wrote about a path this morning. That's really funny.
Yeah, and okay, let me show the tattoo, because it's basically like, if you can, it's very tiny, but it symbolizes the path of life.
What is it? Is it mountains? Show me again.
No, that it's very abstract, and I think most of the people would think I actually draw it. It's very unique, but it's just like some sort of lines that are symbolizing the path of life. I can send you a picture afterwards.
Okay.
I have actually not shown the tattoo publicly to anyone, so.
Oh wow.
I mean, to people who see me, but not like online or anything.
Yeah, everyone thinks it's a straight line, right? You know, we go from like A to B. I walk straight across the road.
No.
Like, good luck, man. Like, look, something's gonna happen. It's gonna take you off that path. Like, you know, it's only a matter of time. Like, I was having a conversation with the guy, the Argentinian night coach. It's a very good mate of mine as well. And he turned around and he goes, "Man, I don't speak to anyone who's not hit rock bottom." And I was like, okay, like, you know, keep going. And it was like, people look at life in a different way once you've reached rock bottom, because you know, like, it's not a straight line, right? Everything meanders around. And I'm like, I can understand that.
I do too, but there is also this thing about, you know, someone can hit hard rock bottom in another way, like losing a member of a family versus losing a job. It can be hard rock bottom for them, and they will never hit it harder than someone else, you know. But it's still hard rock bottom for them, and that's important to respect, actually, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
But I know what you mean, like people who really lost everything, and it changes so much, like the character, how they see life and people. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it's very apparent in Christchurch, right? There's people that have traveled and people that haven't. You know, it's like the conversations and the sustenance of the conversations are totally different. And you need to be able to experience
and
life,
I can
right?
say from my experience, the like hardships, that's how we get. I always took it as a gift in the end. It sucks, but in the end, it made me a better person. And I think we become resilient. Like going through just a little bit of challenge, discomfort, or the hardship, like the really hard shit, actually. And when you kind of learn how to see these things in this way, you also see life in a different, maybe even better way, because I don't know. I don't want to speak for everyone, you know, but it's just my experience. Like,
no, I agree.
Just learn from it, take it as a gift in the end. Like,
you know, like feelings fade. At the end of the day, like, you know, it might sting now, but that cut will turn into a scar, and the scars no longer hurt. Now the scars just remain as a lesson, right? And you know, you've got to be able to take that as a beautiful thing.
Nice.
100%. All right, Marianna, I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
Thank you very much. Where are you going to next with the whole stunt crazy badass stuff?
Who knows? No, well, right now I'm in Denmark, and I will be here till the end of November, probably practicing with some other stunts and on my own, because my training is very versatile. Like, I do fitness, I started Taekwondo. I do some swimming, running, you know, like cardio stuff. riding horses sometimes. And then with the stunt people, it would be some specific skills we are trying to learn, like if it's falling, fighting, or some car hits, maybe, I don't know, who knows. Maybe fire or wire work. But then in the beginning of November, I should go to Berlin again, and then back to Denmark and do a project here.
Wow.
So, but next year, I think it's going to be more exciting. I just don't know what's going to happen.
Well,
and
I'm excited
which
for you.
country. Me too, but you know, sometimes it comes and goes, so I don't want to like be dependent on a project. It's just I'm gonna practice and be in shape and do my best, and I believe it's gonna come to me. And
yeah, you've got to
then
be
I can maybe tell you even more.
Nah, I'm buzzing for you. Like that's really cool. It's really it's amazing to see someone working so hard at something that they love. You know what I mean? It always fires me up. So thank you.
Yeah, it's really nice to meet you and talk to you, and it's really funny that I'm actually here talking to you, like that you found me.
Yeah,
it's really nice to connect. I love it.
Yeah, it's weird how paths in life cross. You know what I mean? Like it's the rules of life, I guess, the game of life.
Mm.
Well, I'll figure it out in the end, or maybe not. Well, if you ever if you're ever down here, you're gonna have to let me know, and we'll go grab a coffee, or you can grab a
Oh,
tea.
you mean New Zealand?
Yeah,
Or
in the bottom right hand corner of the world.
I would love that. But you know, I'm also the type of a person who just like does it. Like I booked the ticket tomorrow, but now in this situation, it might be a bit impossible.
Yes. First of all, you got a shitload of projects on. Second of all, COVID
Exactly.
makes travel
Yes.
a bugger. Like it's down here it seemed like we were absolutely fine, and the northern hemisphere were getting smashed by it, and now it's just like role reversal. Now it seems like the northern hemisphere's kind of worked itself out, and down here is getting smashed by it. So
Oh my God. Okay.
yeah, like I honestly think in the next like 6 months they'll have to open up again, and because we'll all be vaccinated by then. Like we'll all be double dosed by then. There's not a lot of people here. There's like less than 5 million people, so everyone will be double dosed.
I actually heard that during the pandemic there was like nothing happening, like no restrictions in Faroe Islands.
Faroe Islands.
Yeah, we are completely open in Denmark, to be honest, which is nice. But as soon as I cross the border, either to Czech or Germany or other countries, there are restrictions, and it's really playing with my mind. It's like, what is this? Like, that's so crazy. Especially coming back to Denmark where everything is free. It's like, how is this possible?
It's like teleporting a different world, right? At the moment.
Yeah,
it really is. Like I'll speak to my family back home or mates back home, and you know they're now kind of doing what they want, you know. But Britain is a strange place. They do what they want anyway, regardless of anything. But like they ask what's going on down here, and it's like, wow, it's a little bit more. I don't want to say militant, but you know, there's less rules, but you can't bend them, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
strange. It's like different worlds.
Yeah, it's strange times we're in. But to be honest, I of course I noticed we are in pandemic. It's just I managed still to quite do a lot, like
that's awesome.
Learn language, open, do the certification, open my own business, and now start in the industry. You know, it's just things happened anyway.
Yeah, keep going. You can't pause for anything. You know, you just got to keep going, keep being resilient.
Yeah, we have to adjust.
Yes, miss. Yeah. Well, if borders ever open, you know, doors always open.
Yes,
All right.
gladly.
And I'll let you know whenever I make it back to around Denmark.
Oh, of course, you're welcome. Yeah.
I need to get back to the Northern Hemisphere. I'm missing the cold.
Do that.
Yeah. All right. Have a great day. Thank you very much.
You too. Thank you so much.
See you
Hi.
later.